Hey everybody, it's Dr. Kenton Wakes Up. It's Thursday, October the 3rd, 2024. How are you? In the cup today is Signature Select Sumatra. I've already decided this will be the last bag of Sumatra. It's not that it's bad, it's just I don't prefer it. So today's Thursday. Thursday is ordinarily a day that I'd go to Towson, and I will be doing that. But last night I got over 7 hours of sleep, so I have slightly more energy, slightly more positive. Showing you this again, mostly because, anyway, the last night in class we talked a little bit about the use of after class. One of the people that's enrolled in my class works for the University Technical Services, and we were talking about the way that the buildings on campus have evolved over time. For example, Smith Hall, which is adjacent to the building I work in, is being systematically demolished. They're leaving what I believe was the newest portion and then building a new set of wings and annexes, whatever the plural is for annex. So what's left is just this skeleton structure of the former building. So I asked him if he knew anything about it. He gave me that information, and we talked a little bit about a building on campus called Linthicum, which in the 20 plus years I've been on campus, it's been always identified as the next building to come down. And I joke that it might be the last one left. After the college is long gone, Linthicum may remain. But groups have been in and out of there, and we're coming now to the point, which is that in this discussion we also talked about the use and sometimes lack of efficiency and how funds are spent at the campus level for technology services. And I'm going to use these names only because I know what they are. We have a projection system that we use for our hybrid classes. And that projection system is called WebEx. WebEx is owned by a company called, I think it's owned by Cisco. In any event, at one point in time, there was a gigantic bundle of services that were all offered under one umbrella for a vastly lower price, and so that's why we have some of the things that we have now. Like, for example, all of us have a Cisco handset on our desks for our telephone services. These are VoIP, VoIP phones. We also have, the legend has it, that's why we have Blackboard instead of something like Canvas that other similarly situated institutions have. Talking about for online services. Well, WebEx and the heck was it called? It had a name before WebEx. I'll think of it later. Just like yesterday. Oh, by the way, the Q word for yesterday's episode is Janis Joplin. So anyway, the tech guy and I were talking about the fact that we have our toes in a bunch of different pools, and maybe if there was a standardization on some of these, I bet that see that beam right there? That's gonna get me at some point today. That we could probably do a better job telling people how to gain access to the services we already buy, so that people aren't left feeling like they're underserved or unserved. And it reminded me, this conversations about these topics inevitably take me back. Let's go back. Let's go way back. Let's go way back when. Got the Aretha going in the background. that when I was at Iowa State as a tech guy, they had a similar problem that the institution paid or expended huge amounts of money for licenses for software that they then people made a lot of requests to get certain types of software. The university laid out for it, and then the usage was really terrible. And what would happen in many cases was a person would show up exasperated that they couldn't do whatever. They couldn't afford to buy their own desktop license of SPSS or Jump or whatever you want to call it, stat software. That the person behind the desk would look up at them and say, well, that's part of the university site license. Nobody knew. And the accusations would fly back and forth. The people who are serving, you all right there, Winston? The people who are serving technology support to the faculty and staff and students would be incredulous that the university had licenses to this software, but that there was no communication about the fact that the license existed. So nobody knew to make use of it. So the question, the accusations fly back and forth that the university needs to do more to support site licensing, and the university fires back, we do a lot for site licensing. Here's all the software that we site license in the context of a meeting. And it's this huge list. So then the accusation flies back from the tech guys. Why don't you tell people about this? And the quote that came immediately to mind when we were talking about it last night was, don't people check the message of the day? Now, this requires a little bit of unpacking because hardly anybody knows what that means. Message of the day is something that you see when you first log in every morning to the terminal if you're logging into a mainframe. And the university had a mainframe computer system called Vincent for John Vincent Adanasoff, who was one of the pioneers of electronic computers. Look it up. I'll put his name in the, maybe even a link to a Wikipedia page if there is one. Anyway, don't people read the message of the day? Well, these conversations were being had somewhere between 1998 and 2002. That's when I was when I was in charge of the tech work for my college. So the issue is, this is the time when people are getting their own desktop computers rather than mainframe terminals at their desks, and they're also getting independent software installed on their computers, which is to say, when somebody wants to check their email, they may use a program like Eudora to check their email. They may be using Microsoft Word rather than Nano or LaTeX. They may be using a web browser like Netscape instead of the Lynx, I think it was called. So there's a parallel offering of services. The mainframe has access to the Unix stuff, and people's desks, they have their own PC, personal computer applications running on theirs. So anyway, the main tech guy is assuming that everybody's still logging into the terminal, even though this is many years down the line of people having their own desktop computers, showing that the leadership in that area was somewhat, as they would say today, out of date, out of touch. So today you fire back to present day, and now we're talking about the fact that the university has site license for Zoom and WebEx, and who else knows what, for web conferencing services. And that we also have messaging for, there's WebEx, there's Microsoft Teams, there's some people who use Google Meet or Google Chat. So anyway, there's just a lot of potential ways the university could save money, but the issue always comes back to if you choose one platform to standardize on, which would inevitably save a lot of money, how are you going to get to the point where everybody agrees what that platform is going to be? And who's the person who gets to make that decision that necessarily then inconveniences a significant portion of the user base? Who gets to do that? And what are they basing their decision on? How we got here, remember, is that there was a sweetheart deal. It saved a lot of money. So money made the decision. So anyway, as I said last night, the tools might change, but the problem stays the same. There's hardly any communication that goes outward from the people who offer the technology services, and there's hardly any communication that comes back from the faculty about exactly what they want until there's an angry retort to a decision that was made by somebody who maybe is choosing an irrelevant motive. Like it was the cheapest software we could buy. Anyway, that's enough ranting for today. Today's Thursday, remember, so if Thursday's a special day for you, I hope you have a great one. Otherwise, it's the 3rd. If you celebrate the 3rd of the month, guess what? Today's your day. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day. Love you, bye.